Hey, it's Dr. Charles here, aka CoachMD, with my Magical Monday Facebook Live broadcast, and hope everyone is out there looking and watching, and look forward to your feedback. Just a couple things before we get started, a couple housekeeping things, as they say. Facebook is going through some changes, and what they're really looking to do is engage people, really to make Facebook a valuable part of our life and our community. And I don't object to that at all. In fact, I am making some changes in my CoachMD page so that it can bring value to those people who are interested in learning what I've learned and what I have to share. What would be helpful for you to continue to get information from me is to go to the actual CoachMD page, and under the following button, click see first. This way, whenever I do a live broadcast or if I post something, it'll go on your news feed right away. So I think that's very important. So what am I going to talk about? It's February, and I mentioned last month that I'm going to have kind of topics every month, and when I start Monday to get our week started on the right foot, this month is February, the love month, the heart month. And look, I am a doctor, so you might come to think, well, I'm going to talk about cardiovascular health or things of that sort. And yes, that's important, but guess what? There are three things in our life that affect our heart more than the physical aspect of our heart. And those are found in money, health, and relationships. And when we have challenges in any one of those areas, it can influence our health. So as those of you who know me, you know that I like to focus on mind, body, and spirit, because I feel that those are integrated so, they're so intertwined, and they affect our emotional health, affects our physical health, and certainly when I say mind, body, and spirit, they are intertwined. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about in this, the Heart Month, and in the Heart Month, the Love Month. What I'm going to talk to you about today are relationships. And so what makes me, I'm a doctor, what makes me such an expert in relationships? Well, I always like, people look to what the biggest criticism of people, of authors, when they write about certain things, well, whether they have an expertise, like for instance, somebody writing about children, do they have kids of their own, right? Well, my expertise in relationships, well, I've been in a long-term relationship. Yeah, I've been married, going on my 29th year of marriage. I have 4 children. And yeah, there are ups and downs. And those are the things that we need to focus on. In this little broadcast, what I'm going to share with you today are actually what I see as the 3 most important things to maintain and sustain a long-term, loving, caring, heart-filled relationship that actually will elevate our entire holistic health, mind, body, and spirit together. But, one thing you have to keep in mind, that a lot of us, when we look for a relationship, look for a, quote, soulmate. I have the saying, which you may have seen me post, is that before we find our soulmate, we must first discover our soul. And that's about us. We need to know ourselves. We need to know what's in here before we can look for someone. And the biggest mistake that many people make is looking for that some person to complete them, and looking and kind of having a checklist of all the things that we need to have checked off before we can come together with that person. And a lot of us look for that love at first sight. Well, I have news for you. Actually, love at first sight, now I don't want to burst anybody's bubbles here, but love at first sight is often lust at first sight. Now come on, let's be honest with ourselves. When we see someone and we say, "Oh, that was it." It was, and certainly a physical attraction is important. Don't get me wrong, but when we feel that overwhelming desire or lust, and we say we have butterflies in our stomach, well, those butterflies in the stomach, I wouldn't trust them as a barometer as whether that person is the one for you. It might be, but usually those butterflies actually are anxiety or nervousness. And that's actually our fight or flight, our automatic brain, which is, as those of you know what I talk about, That's exactly the opposite thing that we should follow. So I wouldn't use that as the gut check of whether or not that person is the right person for you. But also, let's look at that lust at first sight a bit. Well, the way I look at it is that lust, that desire, that main part of the relationship, well, that kind of fades a little bit. And how often have we been in a relationship where we've been so gung-ho, head over heels, and it's gone 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? Well, about that 3-month mark, if that person, let's say that person comes to you with a sinus infection or a pimple on their backside or something like that, something really that's not very pleasant, or they wake up and you see their whatever, their makeup's not on, or their hair's all disheveled, or they have some whatever, those kind of things all of a sudden start kind of detracting. And when you are just going with that physical attraction, those things kind of start impacting the way we feel. And how often do you see, it's so sad to me that when I hear divorce, because when people break up, it's usually those people at one time were madly in love with one another. So what went wrong? Well, that's what we need to talk about, and why the 3 things that I feel are so important we need to focus on. But before we get to those, let me tell you a little bit about what happened to me yesterday. Well, and okay, so this is coming from a guy who's in a loving relationship with a woman I've been married to for over 28 years, and who we've had 4 children together. Well, yesterday in the United States, it was a little thing called the Super Bowl. And we were invited to a Super Bowl party, and we were told to come to that party between 6 and 6:30. Now, anyone who knows the Super Bowl, we know that kickoff, okay, it's almost like the ball dropping on New Year's Eve. You got to see the Super Bowl, the kickoff of the Super Bowl, right? I mean, it's so vital. It's so vital to my life that I have to see the kickoff, right? So anyway, it's, time's going by. It's I see it's 5:50, 5:55, and I say, honey, don't you think we should get going? I mean, the kickoff's at 6:30, and it's, it takes 20 minutes to get to our friend's house, whatever. And she's in the kitchen. She's writing some card that she wants to give to our host with a bottle of wine, and doing something very nice that she wants to give a gift. And so what I did was I left. I left. I didn't leave. I went outside into the car to wait for her because I didn't want to start getting upset. And that's my automatic brain getting over thing, whatever. She's doing something nice, and here I'm getting a little agitated, right? So I'm telling myself, I'm calming myself down because she's doing the card. Finally, she comes in the car. It's like 10 after 6. I know we're not gonna get there, right? So I try to, I ground myself. It was pouring rain, and we actually got a little bit lost, and we ended up getting there maybe a little after 6:30. So I walk into the house, and what everybody's doing, they're kind of, I could see nobody was really into the Super Bowl. And not that I was so into it. It was just like something told me, oh, you got to be, 6:30, you got to see the kickoff. So I'm a little, kind of feeling a little agitated, but not showing it. I don't think anybody knew that I was. But guess what? I looked at the television, and it was paused. Technology. We could see the kickoff at any time. It really didn't matter. And luckily I didn't allow myself to get all upset. But that is the exact what I'm talking about. Many people do get upset, and many people do focus. And I didn't miss anything. And not that, look, I barely remember the Super Bowl last year, and it was an amazing game, right? And it was an amazing game yesterday. I probably won't remember it in 2 months from now or 6 months from now. If you ask me who was in the Super Bowl, I might have a challenge remembering it. But that's not even the point. The point is, it's those little things that we focus on. And what breaks up marriages so often is that we lose the things that we loved about our partner, we end up not seeing anymore. So it might be that you love 80% of your partner, but it's that 20% that really bugs you, that really irritates you. And you may end some people end a marriage looking for someone to fulfill the 20% when they already had 80%, and then they get into that relationship and they find that it's the same thing. Or there may be even less than that. Maybe there's 60% of your partner that you like and 40% that you don't like. But it's what we focus on, and it's what we allow to fester. Because so often, if it wasn't, what was irritating me about, being late? Okay, it wasn't about being late. It's just like what's irritating your partner about you leaving your underwear on the floor or your socks or whatever, or maybe the cap off a toothpaste tube. It's not that. It's something deeper than that. And it's when you focus on the negative, those little things, that's when things start going awry. So what are those three things that I think are so important? Well, it's the idea of what was going on with my irritation, what was making me irritated. Well, the first thing is a mutual respect. So something in my automatic brain said to me, my wife's not respecting my, me wanting to get there on time, whatever, which is false. My wife has great respect for me, and I have great respect for her. And luckily, we show each other that. And obviously, to make our very strong relationship continue going after 28 years, let me tell you something. It takes a lot more than that physical lust at first sight. And don't get me wrong, you need that too. And we'll talk about that next week, the week of Valentine's Day. But you need that mutual respect. And that is the first key. And the first of the three that I'm going to name are to keep a strong relationship. You must nurture that. And that comes with seeing not the 20% that you don't like, or the 40% you don't like, or maybe even the 50% you don't like, but focusing on the stuff that you do like, the stuff that you respect in your partner. And that comes to the second part of that. You might respect, and you might, inside you might think that you respect your partner and feel that you have great respect, but do you show it? And how do you show it? Well, that's where appreciation comes in. So we have respect. You need to respect your partner, and you need to show that respect by appreciation. It's very easy. It's very easy. If something happens it's very easy to know when that goes wrong, because it's going to be something that's totally ridiculous that your partner gets angry about. I can tell you that ridiculous thing that somebody's getting angry about, it's because there's something that they feel you're not respecting them, and you're not showing your appreciation. Those two things are so vital in maintaining a strong, nurturing, loving relationship. And the third is laughter. Laughing together, making fun of yourself, making fun of able to laugh at yourself. And I'm not saying laugh at your partner, but that too. You can make funny things but to point out how ridiculous, but I would start with yourself first. Self-deprecating humor, when it comes from a place of confidence, and obviously self-deprecating humor is not good if you're really feeling down about yourself. But honestly, if you see the ridiculousness in your own person, and you're able to joke about that, and you're able to laugh with your partner, and that might be, if you're having difficulties in your relationship, look into that area of respect, appreciation, and find ways to laugh together, whether it's renting a humorous movie, or listening to comedy, or just joking around and being goofy with one another, and not be so serious. Those are things that are so vital. And guess what? I'm a doctor talking to you about that, and a relationship expert. Now I'm labeling myself a relationship expert. That's because of my personal experience. And I can tell you, when you focus on those three things, it will nurture your relationship. It will elevate your whole well-being. It will elevate your physical health. Your physical health and your heart health will be so much better, because it will release a lot of that tension and anger, and it will revitalize your relationship again. And it will become so that love it or lust at first sight will become a lust at 10 years, a lust at 15 years, a lust at 20 years, a 30 years, a 40, 50. I just read something that, a survey that said the best sex is for a woman is at 64 and a man is at 61. Well, I'm getting there. So I hope that that's accurate, but it will be when you have mutual respect, you show your appreciation, and you can laugh together. You can have a lot of fun and great relationship that's lasting, that's loyal, and that's really great for your health. So I appreciate all your interest in what I have to say, my viewpoint. I'm going to try to engage more on my page and make it so CoachMD is a valuable resource to you. Now, just a disclaimer though, I really can't give personal medical advice or personal even coaching advice, personal advice. I can give it kind of a holistic as I'm doing now, but I have created some programs and I've written books and things of that sort that hopefully will be helpful to you, but I can't give the personal. So, but what I am thinking about is maybe once a week or once every couple of weeks, maybe gathering a general medical question that somebody might have and then addressing that in a generic or general, just informational Facebook Live that might be addressing the physical part of the body part of the mind, body, spirit that I feel is so vital and needs to be interconnected. So anyway, I do these Facebook Lives every single Monday at noon Eastern Time. I love when you join me. Give me your feedback. And until next Monday, I'm Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD, signing off. Love you and God bless you.